The European Union is passing a recovery fund for the hardest hit countries in Europe, but most of the money will not be in loans. It will be free cash handed out. And who's gonna pay the bill? Well, if you live in Europe, chances are that you will. And chances are that this will put enormous pressure on the few countries left with a stable economy. So the question is, if richer countries in Europe are forced to hand out 750 billion euros, most of that free, what happens the next time other countries are going to need the help again? If countries with a healthy economy are worse off by staying in the EU, then at this point, why would they even stay in at all? We're going to take a look at those questions in today's video. Alright, so let's take a look at what this BBC article has to say. Coronavirus. Von der Leyen calls 750 billion recovery fund Europe's moment. So we're talking about a package with 750 billion in it. A recovery fund worth 750 billion euros has been proposed by the EU's Executive Commission to help the EU tackle an unprecedented crisis, the coronavirus. The package will be made up of grants and loans for every EU member state. Economies across the 27 EU bloc have been ravaged by the COVID-19 pandemic, but several southern states had big debts even before the crisis. Commission President Ursula Von Der Leyen said, "This is Europe's moment." She goes on to say, "Things we take for granted are being questioned. None of that can be fixed by any single country alone," she told the European Parliament. "This is about all of us, and it is way bigger than any of us." The Commission has dubbed the plan Next Generation EU. Without the backing of all 27 EU member states, it cannot go ahead. But Germany and France have backed plans for the money to be raised on the capital markets. Economy Commissioner Paolo Gentiloni said the fund was a European turning point that would be added to instruments that had already been launched. Spain and Italy have seen the highest number of deaths in the EU during the coronavirus crisis, and in the wake of the financial crisis, are particularly keen on grants rather than loans being added to their public debt. Okay, so what's really good about this bill is that a lot of money would be handed out right away to countries who need it badly. Countries like Spain and Italy, who are a big part of maintaining and keeping up the economy within the EU. But obviously what is problematic is that 2/3 of the money, 500 billion euros, will be given out as grants, in other words, free money. Now, since Spain and Italy are the recipients of this bill, that means a bunch of smaller nations are going to have to pay more than their fair share for this bill to be passed. Smaller nations who, by the way, also themselves are in huge financial troubles as it is. Alright, so this Euronews article talks specifically about the recovery fund. And it reads, "The EU Commission is proposing a 750 billion euro recovery fund," the Economy Commissioner Paolo Gentiloni tweeted. The money would be divided up into 500 billion euros given to EU countries as grants. The remaining 250 billion euros would be available as loans, so countries can seek out these loans, and if they are accepted, they'll be given the money as a regular loan. One of the first EU leaders to react is Italy's Giuseppe Conte, who said it was an excellent signal from Brussels. "We were described as visionaries because we believed in it from the beginning. 500 billion in grants and 250 billion in loans are an adequate figure." Adequate. Well, it's good that it's adequate, right? Now let's speed up the negotiation and free up the resources soon. The Spanish Prime Minister said the proposal was a starting point for negotiations, while Emmanuel Macron said it was a crucial day for Europe, adding that his own proposal with Angela Merkel had allowed this progress. So obviously Spain and Italy are thrilled about this, but the money has to come from somewhere. And since no one really has a bunch of cash right now, the countries that are going to have to pay up are trying to negotiate that these money won't be given out as grants, but they'll only and exclusively be given out as loans. Which kind of makes sense, since that's the way it's always been done in the EU. The problem here is that if these countries don't get bailed out, the euro itself as a currency might be in danger. And if the euro itself falls, so does the EU. So I think that's the reason why Merkel and Macron is pushing really hard for this, even though their own countries might suffer from it themselves. At the end, I don't think there are any good solutions to this, but it kind of reminds me of that story about the sinking boat that only has one lifeboat left. In this case, the lifeboat is countries like mine, Denmark, other countries like Germany and France who are still upholding the economy of the euro and barely making it in their individual countries. So the question is, can the lifeboat take another couple of 200, 300-pound guys jumping on board to save themselves? Well, we're about to find out. Alright guys, remember to subscribe to this channel if you liked the video and leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I always enjoy reading them and communicating with you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.